welcome back to Sanctum Stitching, where modern meets vintage. I'm Fawn.
I'm Marianne. We're glad to see you.
Yes, and as always, we are so excited to be back with you for another episode. I did not look up what episode number we're on. Maybe 28.
28.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
See, I got it.
Yeah, you got
Episode 28. We are getting closer to our 1-year anniversary. So I think we started our first Flosstube video in April or so, sort of right after lockdown.
The 24th. I think the 24th of April.
That's crazy. It doesn't feel like it's been a year of doing Flosstube, but it also feels like it has been a whole year of cross stitch and embroidery and like doing so much more of that than I used to do, and I'm okay with it.
Atta girl.
So what are you, to start off with, what are you celebrating this week?
I'm celebrating that I now have had both of my COVID vaccinations, and I've just got a week to go for that to be done. Well, it'll be a week from tomorrow. And Joe got his first shot last week. So I'm celebrating that more and more people are able to get it now, and that the snow is melted away.
Yeah, that's my celebration. Is just I've been able to go for a walk every single day, and sometimes I go out at lunch and I go out after work, and so just trying to make the most of the sunshine. The other day it was very windy, and so I was not out there very long, but I still got out for a walk.
She's putting me to shame, you all. I have not gone for a walk.
Oh, man. There was a while there where I was just like bed, couch, like bed, back to the couch, and it's just like, oh man. So I'm very happy that I can get outside again.
I am too. Excuse me 1 minute. Fritzy, get away from there. Thank you. Sorry. I moved his new toy over to here. My old sewing basket is his new toy. So he's looking for it.
So that's Fritzy's best new thing.
Yes, that's my vintage.
Oh man. Yeah, Wally has probably 14 or 15 toys scattered from the couch to the bed, where he walks back and forth to too.
Yeah.
So I really should pick those up, but they're everywhere.
He's not going to stop. Let's see. Fritz, go on. Go away. No, you go away. Come on, go away for right now.
Aw.
Go on.
Taking away his joy.
No, he for some reason he thinks he needs to be in that cabinet too. So the other night he got in there and Joe shut the door to the cabinet.
Well, that's where he wanted to be, I guess.
I said, don't leave him. And he says, well, it won't hurt him. It's just I've got stitching stuff in there too, so. But he's messing with the rug too, is what he's doing. So I don't need him tearing up the rug. Thank you kindly. Okay, well, on to other things besides Fritz and the aggravation of Fritzy here.
Oh my goodness.
Okay.
Yeah, so this episode will be much shorter than our last one, because if you didn't watch it, our last episode, I had about a 2-month hiatus where Marianne filmed and I wasn't able to join. And so it was like an hour and a half of me like, this is what I got for Christmas, and this is what I worked on for 2 months. So that was a very long one. So let's go to WIPs.
Okay.
What works in progress do you have?
I'm working on the piece you gave me at Christmas time called the Hearthside Christmas. And that's by Erica Michaels, and I've shown y'all that. And where I am now, I did not do what I should have done, and that was put this with, I didn't get my little hooks out. Jill's gonna fuss at me.
I never do. I'm so bad about it.
My little things out. This is the progress I've made.
Hold it up and left. Up some. Keep going. There you go.
Okay. Can you see the little the pine cones and the
Yeah, yep. They look like snowflakes.
Yeah.
Are they supposed to be pine cones or just like a Quaker motif?
This is supposed to be, these little things are supposed to be a piney look.
Oh, okay.
not real pine cones, but a piney look is what they
Oh, okay.
say. And then you've got the snowflakes in between. So I'm almost through with this. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I have one more of these little green and bluish things to do.
Wow.
And two, that gives me then another, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and one more snowflake.
And then that'll be the whole top border?
That's the top border. Yes.
Okay. Does that go down the sides too, or
It
just
goes
across
down the
top?
sides and across the bottom. Yeah. When I was in stitch-in last week, this goes down the sides
Oh, okay.
and across the bottom. And then the little cross stitches that you saw below, I started those just to see how that would look. So that's all the way around too. And I was telling them at Gil at our stitch-in last week, I'm not sure if I'm going to do the ones all the way down the side too or not. I might do them just across the top and the bottom. But I will see. I actually sat there and I think I've told y'all before, I listen to books on tape when I'm doing my stitching a lot of times. And I was listening to the second book about James Herriot and stitching this afternoon, and I actually got 2 snowflakes done and one or two of the little square things done. So when I really focus, I can do these things.
Nice.
So I need
Yeah,
to
if it was me, I probably wouldn't do them down the side, but I don't love me some borders. I like the way they look. I just don't like to stitch them.
Yeah, well, and this is all satin stitch on these on the ones that they say look like that look piney. That's all a satin stitch.
And that would go a lot faster too, but it's when you put the snowflakes in between them that it's like, oh.
The snowflakes are easier than the satin stitch. The satin stitch takes some time. Well, because they're saying use one strand, and one strand doesn't cover well enough. And the whole thing with the satin stitch is you do padding. And so the padding is what it just takes. Once you get in the rhythm, it's okay. But satin stitch requires a little bit of, you do it and then you go back and add on top of it.
Gotcha.
So, and the other is just cross stitches. The snowflakes they're just doing cross stitches. And I've been a bad girl. I didn't get out my laying tool, so they aren't perfect. I just wanted to see if I could get them done. Maybe I'll get the laying tool out later, but right now I'm just using a small hoop to do it in small groups because I don't really have something. I tried it on I suppose I could go back to a Q-snap for it because I did get I just read where it's a good idea to put like some felt or some fabric between your Q-snap on top of your fabric, and then put the Q-snap part on top that holds it.
Yeah, and you just have to make sure it's really thin because those Q-snaps clamps, they snap really easily if you try to stuff it. Yeah, because I didn't want to. You see, he's making his way all the way around us. I don't see it yet. I'm waiting for it. Yeah, no Fritz. No, come on, get down. Come on. Say hi to phone and then leave. He's not cooperating today, but that's nothing new. Thank you. But no, I noticed I did try another way, but when I was using the Q-snap, it was leaving marks in the fabric I didn't want it to leave. Even though it was out to the sides, I just didn't like how it was. So I figured, well, I can use a small hoop, and even though that leaves a little bit of circle, I can press that out better than I think I could one from a Q-snap. Gotcha. Oh, well. Makes sense. On and upward. I mean, I do have other works in progress, but this is the most recent one. I have been working on I don't know. They're all packed away in the living room or something. I do have my Frank Lloyd Wright that I'm still making a little progress, but I'd like to make a little more before I show it to y'all again because I was ripping out some. I did something and I thought, oh, that looks cheesy. I need to take that out and actually do the back stitching. Just drawing one line, this line, this stitch to this stitch, and then it moves up and down. That's not the way to do it. So Yeah, you tried to cheat your way out of it.
Yeah, so I had to rip it out. So the frog arrived. So you show us what you've got, sweetie.
Okay, so I've worked on 3 projects and then I started and finished 2. So the first one, and I'm trying to get by without the light on behind me because that usually makes it kind of hard to see. So let me know if it sort of gets too dark in here.
Okay.
So this is, I call it Zodiac by Clouds Factory, but I think it has a little bit of a different title.
Okay.
And I have done the Sagittarius and the Aquarius.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Nice. I think that looks, yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah.
So I really like these guys up here.
This is why she puts pictures at the end, y'all, so you can really see what we've done.
Yeah.
Several people have told us keep the pictures coming.
Yeah, and I'm terrible at Quaker motifs, and it seems like every Clouds Factory stitch along that I do, besides so far the animal one, it seems to have a Quaker motif in it. And so this one, I finally did it the right way, where you cross, because it's variegated, and you cross over every thread. And so I did it, and the variegation looks awesome. But of course, I miscounted. And so I sort of had to, you can see the center one is shifted.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I guess I'll just put 2 random things there. And it's like, I don't know, we'll consider it like a black hole or something. Who knows what's happening.
Yeah, make it yours.
I figured, like, in the grand scheme of things, nobody's looking at that Quaker symbol. They're looking at the critters in the center. So
good.
And I was not going to rip it out again. Especially when the variegation looks so nice. I was like, no, it's fine.
add a fun touch to it.
Exactly. And so then the next one is, so that one it's an old stitch along from Clouds Factory, but I decided to try to keep up with it throughout the year. So I did January, February, and so now I have to work on March. Okay. But then the next one is also Clouds Factory, and there's no Planet B. I always want to say Plan B, but it's Planet. And it's all about endangered species, and so you get 2 critters a month. And so here is what I did for March.
I like that.
So January, we started over here, and this is the black-footed ferret and the okapi, I think is how you say it. And then I think it's the black rhino and then a sea otter.
I like that it's on a light fabric too, because all those colors stand out on that white fabric. Where if you put it on some color or something, you would have lost all of that color. Yeah, and it's really pretty. Uses the toile in it for a lot of stuff, and so there's a sparkle that's not coming up on camera. But I had also never stitched with this color pink before. That's pretty. And so I was very excited. You know, when you finally get to stitch with that bright color that you see on the DMC shelf, you're like, ooh, okay. Yeah, ooh, yeah. So here's got a lot left to go. Yeah, but that's going to be nice. Yeah, but you can kind of see it's very lightly modeled, kind of like a cloud. Yeah, yeah. So that's that. The next month for March is very cute. It's something that kind of looks like an armadillo, but it's not quite an armadillo. It's got like a big tongue, but not an anteater either. So I can't remember the name of it. I want to say it starts with a P. And then it also has a puffin, which is a penguin. Mm-hmm. And so that one's really cute. It's got a mom and a baby with it. So that'll be nice to do. And so what I think they're doing is they have like land, and then the puffin's going to go right here, and it continues the water. Right. So I think this might be sort of like surface level, and then underwater, land, and then we have a tree here, or what we think is going to be a tree. Yeah. And so I think they're going to put the air animals in the top. And so if they do it that way, I think that'll be super, super cool.
So if you're stitching this or just following along, let me know if you think it's going to sort of be like air, land, and water animals sort of in that pattern, because I think that'll be awesome. And then the next thing I worked on, which you still can't really see what it is because there's just so much confetti at this point, is the Hogwarts snow globe. I got off of Etsy, and I want to say it was by Mika Stitch. Not totally positive.
I remember you saying something like Mika.
Yeah, and that might have been the cat that I did. But I know if you look back at our last video, I definitely said the exact name there. And so here's where I'm at. And so it's a snow globe, and then at the bottom it has like the base of a snow globe. There's going to be a lot of back stitching because this is a Russian or Ukrainian pattern, but I've actually really liked the back stitching lately. And you can kind of see the water, the mountains. The yellow is in here for the castle, and you have some of the peaks, but
the back stitching will make all the difference in the world because you really can't tell what is that there, but it's when you do that, it'll
exactly. That's why I like to take the before and after picture, because then it's like a totally different piece.
It caught my eye when I looked and I said, now why is she posting two? Oh yeah.
Yeah, with the dandelion.
Dandelion, that was really cool.
And so then that's all I have for whips. You said you didn't have any new starts?
Don't have any new starts right now. I'm planning to, but like I say, I will start that this is my whip and new start that you gave me, kind of. But the other piece that I want to start, I need to get some bigger bars. It's so big.
Which piece is that again?
That's the one that I got from the Stitchery catalog that's from England, and it's the To Every Season. There's a time. Okay. Yeah, and it's like 20-something inches wide, 13 inches high or something. It's, so I need to get some new stretcher bars, or not stretcher bars, really scroll bars, either do some new scroll bars or finish the piece that's on the finish Lily's Beatrice Potter, and then I'll have my wide enough scroll bars. So that's my goal too, is to go on and finish the Beatrix Potter piece that I've been working on since Lily was born, and she will be for the end of March. So there you go.
How much farther do you have to go on that piece?
I have a little bit more at the bottom, and then I have to fill in the mouse on the rocking chair. So I don't have much at all. It sits there in the living room over by the sofa.
You should try. You should try working on it again.
Oh, I thought maybe I'll get that out tonight.
I'm going to ask you about it next meeting or next Zoom.
Yeah, I know. I should bring it in here tomorrow for stitching. Just haul the thing in here. It's on a big stand.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, but you really should work on that. You're so close, and I bet you'll feel really accomplished.
This is true. This is true.
And then you don't have to buy more rods.
I know. Well, that was what I was thinking, because I went around and looked at the different stretcher bars that I have and pieces I have on some of that need to be done, and none of those are big enough. So, okay, I guess I need to do this.
Darn.
I need to finish it. Maybe I'll keep it. Lily
At this point, you probably should. You work so hard on it.
I do have a finish, but it's all boxed up to go to Lily now. I finished another scarf for her. I made it out of the same yarn that the hat's made out of. So I've got her the one that's like a little cowl, and then another one. And I'll send you a picture of those to put at the end. I took some pictures today because I got it boxed up. It needs to go. It's going to be too warm to wear them at this rate.
Who knows? We're going to have one of those like random cold days. So
yeah, hopefully they will in DC also.
Oh, I'm sure. So then so I have two starts and finishes. And the first is Woodland Birdies. It's a Christmas tartlet from the Victoria Sampler. So this is sort of an older chart, I think. And the one that I stitched is the woodpecker. There you go. And so I kind of made it up as I was going. I just picked random threads that I had and figured they were okay. I messed up on his neck, and so he's a little fatter than he's supposed to be. He's supposed to have this nice long, like elegant neck, and nope, he's got a stubby old neck. In the picture, they show buttons instead of beads for the berries, but I used beads because I didn't have buttons. And then I was really good following the chart at the beginning for the, I'm gonna call it ivy, but it's not really ivy. And then I got to about here and I got really tired of following the chart. And so you can start to see all of my ivies are starting to get a little wonky, but I made it all the way around and it looks pretty circular. And so this is definitely a hand-stitched piece. But here's
Very
another
nice.
look at it. Maybe you can see the beads.
Yeah. That's, instead of saying ivy, just call it, you know, you get it off of pine trees, just, you know, pine.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to actually finish this as
Very
it
nice.
shows in a tart pan.
Yeah.
And so one of our guild members was so nice and she brought me over the tart pan I need. So we'll actually have an FFO by the next time I'm on here.
Good for you. Good for
Yeah, we're trying.
you. Yeah.
And then the next one is, it's not quite vintage because I think vintage is 50 years. Is that right?
20. Antique is, well, I don't know anymore.
So I used to think that vintage was
50.
20, but then when I looked it up
No.
today, it said vintage was 50 and
It
antique
probably
was
is, and antiques is 100. Yeah.
So then I was wondering what we got for 20, because somewhere I definitely read that like vintage was 20. So maybe it's
I
for a
did too.
different
That's why I've
item.
been showing us vintage, like vintage clothing. Here's something from the 1940s or something, but let's get a definition of vintage. I don't want.
So maybe some things are vintage after 20 years and some things are
Yeah,
vintage
I think,
after 50.
Let me see if I can just find I know, because I was like,
Yeah, so
because
anyway.
I'm vintage, but I'm over 50, so there we go.
So this is from this is called The Duck Pond and is by Country Cross Stitch, and it is from 1982. So if vintage is 50, it's almost there.
Yeah, it's almost
but this
there.
is definitely the oldest book I've ever stitched from. And you know, I stitched this because my dad loves ducks, but if I had just seen this in the store or something, I probably wouldn't have picked it up because it just kind of looks, it looks kind of dated. The colors don't look very bright. But when I stitched it, which I'll show in just a second, the colors really popped out. And so I'm going to go with this photo's bad, but the colors that they actually picked in the chart are super pretty.
Okay, here we go. An item should be at least 100 years old to be defined as an antique. That we knew. Generally speaking, if the item is no older than an antique, but not less than 20 years, no older than 100 and not less than 20 years, it falls under the term vintage. It generally implies a vintage of at least 15 or 20 years. For example, clothing from the 1980s or 1990s could be retro because they're not at around 50 years or something, but at least 50. And what does it mean if something is vintage? Well, it is that it is at least 50 years. Refers to an item that is at least 50 years old, but less than 100. But I think you can throw, and then here you go, is 30 years old vintage. Vintage furniture is anything that's at least 20 years old. If it's 20 years old and has been restored, it's still considered vintage. So I don't know if anybody really knows any more. How old is classic? And then you've got
What,
classic, but that's with cars. What era is vintage?
we'll just call it
Anything between 20
vintage-ish.
years and 100 years ago are considered vintage. That's with era in the accepted industry standard. And they clearly reflect the styles and trends of the era they represent. So I'm going to go with pretty much anything I show y'all is vintage. And here's the Merriam-Webster dictionary. If you want to talk about wine, vintage is a season's yield of grapes or wine from a vineyard. Definition of vintage, there's still of old, recognized and enduring interest, importance, or quality. Classic, dating from the past. Old-fashioned. So, it's like, okay. I don't know if anybody, but yeah, I when I was looking it up too, when we were talking about our name for our Flosstube, what's the difference between vintage, antique, and retro and stuff. And so I think pretty much anything between 50 and 20 years or more is definitely vintage. And I know about furnitures and stuff has to be at least, usually for things like that, for it to be antique, you need to have it be like the chair and table that are in my living room are antiques, because the chair and table are from 1913 at least.
Wow.
Yeah. So they're old.
Yeah. So this chart, it's got a whole bunch of different duck ones in it, is almost 40 years old, which is pretty wild.
Yeah.
So I wonder if Country Cross Stitch would think that this chart would still be getting stitched out of almost 40 years later when they designed it.
Never know.
So anyway, I put this on a piece of random Fortnite fabric that I had from their ornament sale a long time ago. And because I was stitching from stash, I had to replace some of the colors on the ducks, but most of them are like close or pretty close. I used the Cody Hoover DMC website to do my substitutions, which if you don't know what that is, if you just search Cody Hoover and DMC, it brings up a site where you can just type in your number, whatever one you're supposed to have, and then it'll give you click on that color and it'll give you 5 alternatives of substitutions, but they put that next to the color that you're actually supposed to use. And so you can see like, okay, this one's greener than I wanted, or this one's got some gray tones in it, but I really want this to be more of like a blue and not a gray blue. And so that's really helpful for me for trying to compare, especially when I am trying to stitch from stash and I only have 1 out of the 5 substitution choices. And so it's better than just giving me one choice and then it's like, okay, well, what's the substitution for that one? And then like following along. So on that note, let's get to the ducks.
Here.
So here's what I've got.
Those look good, Fawn. Very nice. Yeah.
Thank you. I finished these about an hour ago.
Oh, okay. Very nice.
And
yeah.
So I think the fabric's showing up pretty well. It's like a light teal with some browns in it. And this duck is an, I think, American Widgeon.
Well, that or a mallard.
Yeah, it's called an American Widgeon.
Okay.
But they have so many different ones in here. And I would like to continue to stitch more of them for my dad.
I was going to say, look out, Tom, here it comes.
Yeah, and I know he wants me to stitch all of them, which, sorry, it's not going to happen. But because the chart is from 1982, it's just so hard to read. Let me see if I can show you an example. So for the colors, it's everything in black or red only. And for example, we have, I think that's an A. I'm reading it totally backwards. We have a red A, but we also have a black A. And of course, the different A's are next to each other. And so when you're stitching normally, you're like, oh, A, that's this color, and not, oh, black A is this color, and then red A is a totally different color, like a black versus a white. And it's like, okay.
Well, luckily they're not super big. No, they seem to be a little bit smaller, some of them. I know they've got some really big ones in there too, the patterns. But
Yeah, this one was 80 by 75, and I'll show you a
oh,
little
okay.
bit of the chart.
Okay. Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
can kind of see where
Okay.
they all sort of like
Yeah.
blend together a little bit.
Well, people in the guild would suggest, if nothing else, if you can enlarge that chart too. But
Yeah, I
that's
did
not,
make a working copy of it, and I
yeah.
thought that I could have changed the size of my printer, but it did not want to work for me. And
Mine has not
when you go to
wanted to.
print something anyway, it like
Yeah.
takes you forever because suddenly you're out of ink or you need to find more paper, and it's like, oh, I need an update. You're like, I just wanted to print something. So when it couldn't enlarge for me the way I wanted to do it, I was like, you know what? It's fine. The duck's gonna be done.
Yep.
So I definitely grumbled working on these ducks.
Very
But
pretty.
now that they're done, it's super, super nice.
Yeah.
So I'm also gonna turn this into a tart pan, but it's gonna be a much larger tart pan.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is like maybe the 4-inch one that you can get at Joann's. So you can get the 6-packs for pretty cheap. And so it should definitely work. And I've got beads falling out of it from when I was working on my woodpecker. I guess I put red beads in this tart pan. I'm like, what is happening over here? Yeah, so I'll have that FFO'd by our next video too.
Yeah. Keep Wally out of the beads.
Yeah. So that's all I had for whips, starts and finishes. Did you have vintage?
Yes, I do.
I'm going to count the duck chart as I had vintage,
There
so I contributed.
Okay. My sister-in-law, Janie, who was not my sister-in-law at the time, but was a good friend, and then she and my brother got married, gave me this sewing box.
Oh, that's cute.
Probably around let me think, when did they got married? In 1981. She probably gave it to me in like 1979, like, something like that. Very nice. Well, you see it's getting torn up. This is now, and it's really neat inside. I mean, what I like about it inside is it's got little beads all on up here. And this is, of course, where you put your pins and needles. And it's got birds on it. It's really cheerful. And it's held up well until Fritzy discovered it. So this is Fritzy's new toy, which sits on the floor over by the cabinet there.
Oh, he thinks it's a scratching post.
Yes, and he's got one over here, and I bought myself a different one on sale at Joann Fabrics. So this one's nice, but it's a little bit smaller.
Yeah. I like how he's sitting on the chair right now watching you play with his
he's over there. He was lying down, and now he's seen me messing with these because before he went over there, he was sitting on top of this one, which is on top of the other one over here by me. So those are my vintage. That and the Afghan that's up behind him that my grandmother crocheted. That's the vintage there too. Fritzy's not vintage. He's not even 3 yet.
No, I love how you put down the baskets and now he's like settling down slowly.
Yes. What's she doing with that over there? That's my toy. Thank you kindly. What is she doing?
Exactly. I claimed this.
And I'm sorry, I had to mute you a little bit. Well, mute me a little bit ago. Our neighbor's dog was really barking and our two were joining in, but I unmuted now.
Oh, well, I didn't even notice at all, so you were right on it.
Yeah, because she's got labs and they have big barks. So there you go.
Gotcha. Did you have any haul?
No, other than when I did the haul before, I forgot to show the sewing box. So that's my haul. That's my new sewing kit, sewing box there. So no, I'm still working on old haul for, when you think about it. I mean, I got to work on that a lot.
Yeah, so I got a little bit in, and it was my fabric of the month. I'm in 2 clubs. One is Color and Cotton. The other is Bestitch Me. And so for my February 2021 fabric of the month from Bestitch Me, it's this peony, which is coming across pretty good. It's maybe a little slightly brighter, but definitely purple. I definitely feel like I've gotten purple from a fabric of the month before, and I don't know if it was from her or if it was from Color and Cotton, but I feel like I have a lot of purple now. And it's like, I like purple, but I feel like I keep getting purple.
Do they put it in a bag for you that tells you what size it is and everything, that it
Yeah,
still
she has
tell
a
you?
tag on it.
Oh, okay. So I
So
didn't
this
know
is
if,
a piece, it's 18 by 27 linen, 28 count.
okay, okay.
And my husband, he has started stitching on not just Ada, but he's actually actively stitching on 28 count, and he just finished a project on 32 count.
Linen?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my.
Yeah,
He's
so I'll
getting
have to show you that
adventuresome. Yeah,
at some point, and hopefully he'll come back on and he'll show off his stuff himself. But
good for
yeah,
him.
he was like, "Oh, 32 is easy." I was like, "Oh, you got to try 36?" He was like,
No.
"No."
Well, you did get him that magnifying glass, didn't you, or something?
Yeah, and he didn't use it though.
Oh,
I was shocked. So I guess maybe his eyes just work now. I don't know. Or he's putting in a little effort.
that could be it. And maybe the lighting where where he's using it, where he's sitting down and doing the lighting or something.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think he's just really concentrating too.
yeah, and I think a lot of it is to he stitched it on this green and purple fabric that was really cool looking, and he was stitching scientists from Clouds Factory, and so I think part of it was he really wanted to use that fabric for that piece, so he was gonna figure out how to make it work, and he did it. So that's exciting, and we'll show that on here at some point for sure. But it's his baby. I'll let him show it, not me. And then from Color and Cotton, I got Moroccan Clay. And so this is pretty true to color, maybe slightly pinker than is showing here. And then this is Sea Turtle, which I really like this one. And so those are both 32 count, and they are 13 by 17 inches. And so Color and Cotton, they sort of ship on a delay. So these are the January fabric of the months. And so in March, I'll receive the February. And I can't remember if it was always like that or sort of after the pandemic, they started to be a little delayed. But either way, you still get your fabric, and they're really cool. Because I probably wouldn't have bought either one of these, but now that I have them, I'm glad that I do.
That's pretty. I like both those colors. I really do. Now you got to figure out what you're going to stitch on them.
Yeah, when I was opening the package, I was like, please don't be purple. Don't be purple. So watch, next month I'll get 3 different purple fabrics.
Well, if you keep getting purple from that other place, I think I'd send them a text message or something.
Yeah, and I think it was that I got purple from both clubs, and maybe it was just like 1 month after the other of purple. So that's probably what I'm thinking about. But yeah, so then the only thing I have left is a giveaway, because we haven't done one in a while. Did you have anything else?
No, I don't think so. No.
So we will jump into the giveaway. Before I do that, though, I wanted to thank everybody for watching. If you like our channel and you like us and hanging out with us, please share us with your friends on Facebook, join us on Instagram. I don't post there too much because I'm always torn. I'm like, do you want to see just me showing you in this Flosstube what we've worked on, or do you like sort of during the week, oh, this is what I'm stitching on, this is my progress, or would you rather just wait to the Flosstube and see like how far we've gotten? So comment down below and let me know, because I'm really torn about it, because I know I like to watch people's Flosstubes, and I want to see like sort of the outcome without seeing the process along the way. But then when I'm on Instagram and I see somebody post a whip, I'm like, oh, that's cool. So I don't know. You tell me what you want.
Decisions.
Yeah. And then I'm like, well, do I just post like an actual post, or would you prefer me to post in the stories? I don't know. So everybody just let me know how you like to use Instagram. And then still come join us over on Stitching Friends Across Borders, which is our Facebook group where we just sort of we get together once a month on Zoom and chit chat with you guys, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
I made the last one because I didn't commit to it, so I actually showed up.
That's right. And we're meeting again on March.
March 17th, wasn't it?
I think it's March 16th.
Okay.
I need to put that on my calendar here. But I think that's when it is. I can check the Facebook real quickly.
So while Marianne checks, just come join us on there if you're on Facebook, over at Sanctum Stitching on Instagram. But like I said, if you like our content, please share it with your friends. Like our channel, subscribe. And the more you share us with your stitchy friends, the more we can sort of get out in the world and share the content that we're bringing here, because I think we're a lot of fun. I think we showed very different stuff between each other, and so
Well, I don't have it on the site yet because it's not quite to that point, but I'll get it up there. But we did it on the 16th in February, and we decided the 16th of March would work for everyone too. So I need to put it in on my 16th of March. We usually start about 7 p.m. and we go anywhere from an hour to 2 hours sometimes. So there you go.
Definitely. So I think we'll have another video before then, I'm pretty sure, because that'll be 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Or maybe on that day. I'll post it over. If you join our Facebook group where we share the link, we'll definitely let you know for sure, but it should be the 16th.
Yes.
And so for our giveaway, after all that, I went through my stash and I found Prairie Grove Peddler designs. And so this is by Cheryl Haynes, and it is called Little Candle Mats Shamrock. And I should have took it out, but it's got the whole motif for you to put a candle on it, whatever it is. I thought shamrocks could be cool since it's March and St. Patrick's Day. So if you would like this, please include, do you want to use March or Shamrock?
Shamrock, I think. Use Shamrock.
We could say, what are you most looking forward to in March?
Yeah.
So tell us what you're most looking forward to doing in March or stitching.
Okay. Yeah. There you
whatever.
go.
So use the word March, March, and that's what I'll search for. But I thought this was a cute one, and it doesn't look overly complicated, so you should be able to stitch this pretty quickly.
Right.
And it's not super big either. It's 7 3/4 by 7 3/4, and it says it includes the finishing instructions. And I guess this is from 2010. So we're not quite making vintage, but it's a little bit older chart. So maybe you've wanted this before and haven't been able to get it.
That's 11 years.
Yeah, we're getting there.
Give it a few more.
So on that note, I don't think we have anything else. And this has definitely been a much shorter video than the last one. So that's exciting.
Yes. Yes.
Like I said, share us with your stitchy friends, like this video, and we hope you have a wonderful week or 2 weeks, and we will see you soon.
Take care. Bye-bye, y'all.